All eyes are still on the Strait of Hormuz, which we can now all agree is the most important narrow waterway in the world. Look, no offense to the Panama Canal, but if I were you, I'd kill myself. Anyway, as part of Trump's efforts to pressure Iran to open the strait, the U.S. Navy is blockading all Iranian ports along the coastline, which is a very complex, difficult task. But luckily, we've got the steady, stable leadership of U.S. Navy Secretary John Phelan to get the job done.
U.S. Navy Secretary John Phelan ousted from his position effective immediately.
What? You're in the middle of a major naval operation and you're firing the guy whose job is to be in charge of major naval operations? Just because what? He looks like a high school principal who's always asking the girls for hugs? How else are you going to say congrats on sophomore year? There must be a reason.
Tensions between Phelan and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth had been mounting, according to multiple sources familiar with the relationship. The approach Phelan was taking when it came to shipbuilding appears to have been the main reason for the firing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can't tell you how many friends I've lost arguing about shipbuilding. It's actually kind of sad. Tim, Gary, Todd, I know we haven't spoken since our big fight about whether a displacement hull is superior to a semi-displacement hull, but I still think that a semi-displacement offers better balance of range and speed, but I wish it hadn't torn our friendship apart, especially since none of us were actually building a ship. Also, sorry for banging your wives. In retrospect, that was childish and uncalled for. I think that'll do it. But this firing is a little concerning, especially because we're losing all of the military expertise that I'm sure John Phelan had been bringing for the job for, I assume, years.
Before taking the job just 13 months ago, Phelan was a Florida businessman and a major donor to President Trump's campaigns. He had never served in the military.
Holy shit, that's it? They put a guy in charge of the U.S. Navy because he's good at being rich? Secretary, 6 incoming torpedoes. Quick, throw some money at him. I mean, but still, Trump hangs out with lots of rich people. There must have been something more about John Phelan that he liked.
John Phelan is named on a flight manifest indicating that he flew on Jeffrey Epstein's private plane in March 2006.
God damn. That plane was like a LinkedIn for creeps. Someone on there must have been like, yeah, I diddle kids, but only for the networking. So maybe it's not so bad that Hegseth isn't Phelan anymore, but who's taking the helm from him?
Replacing him as acting head of the Navy will be Undersecretary Hung Cao, a combat veteran who ran unsuccessful campaigns for the House and Senate in Virginia.
This is a great gentleman. I love his name, Hung Cao. I love that name.
Okay, sure. I'm sure he loves that name now, but how long until Trump forgets Hung Cao's name and starts trying to get close? Hey, the carrier's under attack. Where's Fat Dong, huh? Hey, anyone seen Chubby Wang? By the way, Hung Cao was my nickname in high school. That's right, ladies. I was well endowed and my farts caused climate change. Now, to be clear, Cao does have some things that you want in a Navy secretary, like 20 years experience in the Navy. But in case you're worried that Trump accidentally hired someone normal, not so fast. For example, he seems very concerned about Christians being persecuted, even when it's a bit of a stretch.
There's a place in Monterey, California called Lovers Point.
Yeah.
The original name was Lovers of Christ Point, but now it's become, they took out the Christ, it's Lovers Point.
Oh, okay, that's very interesting. So that's actually just like Orlando originally was called Orlando, Don't You Love Jesus? Is changing it from Lovers of Christ Point to Lovers Point that big of a deal? I mean, if they changed it to Rim Job Lovers Point, yeah, fine. That might send a signal. But they didn't. And that's why I have no interest in going. But sorry, I interrupted. You were talking about how all the Christians were driven out of Monterey, California. So what happened next?
And it's really, Monterey is a very dark place now.
Yeah.
A lot of witchcraft and the Wiccan community has really taken over there. And we can't let that happen in Virginia.
Yeah. No, yeah, we can't let Virginia be taken over by witches. Also, I have a follow-up question. What the f*** are you talking about? Why? I mean, why is everybody they appoint so f***ing crazy? Can they just find a normal person with a normal head on his shoulders who believes normal things? What kind of sailors does this guy even want to recruit?
When you're using a drag queen to recruit for the Navy, that's not the people we want. What we need is alpha males and alpha females.
Alpha females, right. So drag queens. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. Maybe we need alpha males who will beat the shit out of our enemies and alpha females who will mock their insecurities so precisely they'll never leave the house again. But what exactly will the alpha males and females do that others can't?
What we need is alpha males and alpha females who are going to rip out their own guts, eat them, and ask for seconds. Those are young men and women that are going to win wars.
You want alpha males and females who eat their own ripped out guts? Maybe I don't know what war is. I mean, I guess it might freak out the enemy if they see the alpha soldiers pulling out their own stomachs and eating them, but that's only going to work once. Also, not to be nitpicky, but if you eat your own guts, where do they go? For more on Hung Cao and his new leadership at the Navy, let's go live to Jordan Klepper in Arlington, Virginia. Jordan, was there no one else who could have filled the role that wasn't a Trump donor or insane extremist?
Nope, back to you, Michael.
But, come on. Surely there was one person who was a little more qualified.
You know, I've seen the entire list of candidates, Michael, and man afraid of witches was indeed their best option. You know, there were really only two types of candidates for this, donors or the loonies. I mean, all the more experienced candidates were hesitant about committing war crimes or holding Pete Hegseth's hair back after happy hour at Ruby Tuesdays.
Okay. Well, then who else were they considering?
Well, for example, they looked closely at this guy. His name is John Trunk.
Okay. And he served in the Navy?
Well, not the Navy per se, but he was patient zero on that cruise ship where everyone got dysentery.
Does he have any military experience?
It depends. Would you consider funneling crypto to Barron Trump's offshore bank accounts to be military experience?
No.
Then no, he does not have military experience. But if he doesn't float your boat, little maritime humor there, then the administration also considered Carson McDougal.
Oh, okay. He looks like a sailor at least.
Yes, he was the admiral of the January 6th amphibious fleet. They tried to storm the Capitol by sea, but failed to realize the reflecting pool is more of an inland pond.
Okay, no. Go back to the Trump donors. Who else do we have?
Sure, Trump also considered mega donor Steve Richman. That's him right there in the middle.
Yeah, Jordan, I refuse to believe there wasn't a single candidate who wasn't a Trump crony or a right-wing extremist.
Well, there was one other in the mix, an expert at sea-based warfare, a strong negotiator with no ties to Donald Trump or Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, where have you been hiding this guy? He sounds perfect.
Well, not a he, Michael, she. Her name is Ursula, and she's promised to put Iran's naval fleet under the sea.
This is so stupid. I don't want Ursula the Sea Witch commanding the U.S. Navy.
Oh, well. You don't like witches either, huh? Well, sounds like somebody's ready to board the USS Hung Cao.
Fair point. Jordan Klepper, everyone.